Chapter 1103 is finally here, and this also has one of the most hypest moments as we are caught up back to Egghead Island. Let's do the recap and come up with as many theories as possible about this grandiose of an adventure called One Piece. So, without further ado, after that is you have subscribed to the channel, let's get into this video right now. Pick back up after the events, after Bonnie touched the memory bubble, she returns to her child form and hugs, Vegapunk Stella and apologizes to him for doing whatever that she did to against him. It's a misunderstanding, which is really cute. Punk Stella gives her a gift which actually was by Kuma, who gave it to her for her 10th birthday, and it is actually a sun-shaped necklace which is made out of sapphire, which is kind of amazing detailing. We pick back up with the present day Egghead Island where Saint Saturn is actually holding Bonnie, and Saint Saturn tells the news that her father, which is Bartholomew Kuma, is dead. And we are shown the others, which is Frankie, Sanji, and Atlas. They can't move because of some force which is holding them back. None of them can move. Luffy is old right now because he used Gear 5 and is asking for food. Atlas, of course, can't move, so she can't give him food. And then we also have Sintomaru-kun, who is also arrested by the other Marines. We are also shown Kizaru, who is like Sentomaru-kun, Bonnie, and he's talking about them, but he's still down for the count, and it actually shows that he actually cares for them. Dragon and Ivanka are still in, Kamabaka Kingdom, and they are not moving, and they're still trying to figure out why Kuma went, and they actually, guess that it's all instinct. Bonnie uses distorted future to turn into Nika kind of figure, the third gear thing, but she can't harm Saturn at all and she seems to be weak. Suddenly, Saint Saturn notices that Luffy is actually gobbling up tons of food which has magically appeared beside him, and he orders the Marines to actually handcuff him with sea prism stones as fast as possible before he gets the strength to fight against Saint Saturn. Looks like Saint Saturn is actually scared of Nika. This is when Saint Saturn reveals to Bonnie that Bonnie's fruit is not actually a devil fruit power, or it was just basically his experiments that he did on Bonnie when she was a young kid that she doesn't even remember, and he gave kind of age fruit powers, but her power kind of differs when she keeps growing older, and her possible future actually becomes less and less possible when she understands how the world works or when she actually learns the truth, which is a really complicated process, but I think you understand that. It was also Saint Saturn himself who personally experimented on Ginny, which is Bonnie's mother, and she developed the sapphire scale because of the side effects, and it seems that she was the 8th lady of the Holy Land. No wonder what that means, but I will be talking about that really soon. Bonnie, of course, the 12-year-old, is actually heartbroken with all this information on her family. And of course, Vegapunk Stella is really angry that he's experimented on them. Kuma sacrificed his entire life for this. And Saint Saturn says, should I really feel sympathy for insects? Which is a really cruel way to say and show that, Saint Saturn is actually has no heart at all. Suddenly, Kuma appears out of nowhere on Egghead Island and starts rushing towards the middle where, Saint Saturn is. And Saint Saturn gets a call from the Denden Mushi, and people are actually saying that Kuma is here and it's the real one because he's not a pacifista, because he has the pop-up fruit power. And, of course, this makes Saint Saturn get anxious, and he asks them to, stop him. Bonnie is still guilty about everything that has happened, and she wishes that she was dead. Only then Kuma could have lived happily. It was because of her that Kuma was manipulated and made like a, used dog by the government, which is really, really sad. Of course, Saint Saturn, being Saint Saturn, is really annoyed by her words, so he just throws her to the ground, and it looks like she has reverted back to her child form. He uses his huge, legs, or what do you even call the spider legs? Yeah, and he's about to, kill her when we see Kuma's hand. We see, Kuma taking the stab from Saint Saturn as he protects his daughter on the other hand, and this is really heartwarming as Bonnie sees her father after a really, really long time. Kuma pulls out the stabbed leg inside him and proceeds to, get ready to punch as we see the anger in his eyes and the fear in Saint Saturn's eyes, which is really, really cool. First real doubt that I have from this chapter is who actually gave Luffy food. There are many theories out there online, and I am not smart enough to come up with my own theories, so there are many things. First of all, people say it might be Atlas, which is impossible because Atlas can't move. And the next thing people say is actually Kizaru, who goes back and comes back in light speed and gives all the food to Luffy because he just wants Sentomaru and Bonnie to be fine along with Vegapunk because they're like the only real family that he ever has. And maybe he low-key believes in Luffy if Luffy just got strong because Luffy literally knocked Kizaru out. So that might be his way of showing gratitude to others. And also, the third one that not many people think is that the Thousand Sunny is literally right there because Frankie was the one carrying it in the Frankie Shogun, and inside the Thousand Sunny is a barrel which might have broke, and inside that was Caribou, and he has the Swamp fruit powers, and maybe he's helping Luffy bring all the food, which is literally what he did during the Wano arc, and he just is helping Luffy. Which this is amazing how Oda actually uses previous villains just like Wapol and Caribou. Another really important detail that we need to find out from this chapter is if Kuma is the actual Bartholomew Kuma, or does he have any emotions, or is it just pure instinct that he is driving there? I mean, we all know that he's actually a brainless cyborg right now, but is he though? I mean, in this chapter, we are pretty sure that his hand is covered with haki. I know it's armament haki. I don't think it's conqueror's haki. I don't know if Kuma has conqueror's haki. So yes, he has armament haki as is about to punch, Saint Saturn. So does this mean that Kuma is conscious in there and somehow that split personality thing that Vegapunk was talking about last chapter was actually, applied secretly without Saint Saturn knowing, which is kind of weird because Saint Saturn is also a man of science, and this might be contradictive to everything that Vegapunk did, even though Vegapunk may be the smartest one among the two. So yes, we just have to wait for the next chapter, which is a really long time away. But yes, we'll get main answers. But for now, I think Kuma has his conscience as he gets to bend with his daughter. Also, the twist that Saint Saturn was actually experimenting on both Ginny and Bonnie is amazing. About devil fruit powers actually being created, just like smile fruits, but not really. It's mostly like green blood or something like that that Vegapunk created. And it's also amazing that Saint Saturn is also an amazing scientist, even though I mean he uses it mostly for messed up work. It's just amazing that he has a personality of his own, which is different than the other four Gorosei, because whenever we see the Gorosei, it just looks like we're talking to one single person. And I'm really scared if Oda has the time to flesh out every other Gorosei before the finale. I trust Oda and I know he will pull it off somehow, but I just want everyone to have their own personality, their own superpowers, or their own field in which they are actually really capable of. I don't know how agriculture is going to help because Venus Juro is, I guess, the farming Gorosei or something like that. Yes, but this thing about creating artificially devil fruit powers and being experimented in the Holy Land, this is really really cruel. So there might be so many of others being experimented on right now there. Finally, speaking of that, Bonnie being the eighth, it's Ginny being the eighth lady of the Holy Land is kind of surprising. What does that even mean? The eighth lady of the Holy Land? Is she the eighth wife of some high ranking officer? But why will be she called the eighth lady of the entire Holy Land? Many people say that she is actually the wife of, everyone, which is basically implying something else. And she might also actually be the eighth lady of Emu, and technically meaning that Bonnie is actually Emu's daughter, which is really different. Or she could be the eighth lady of any of the other Gorosi or any of the Holy Knights. We don't know how this thing works, we don't know how anything is, but there are many sources implying that this actually means something else, but in a really, really dark way, which I can't really talk about on my channel. So you guys know what it is. If you know, you know. So yes, that is seriously messed up, and if she is indeed the eighth holy lady or something like that, as the rumors say, that means Bonnie might have many other siblings, so which is really